Welcome to Alabama, if you dare. What you're about to see will make you question every shadow in Alabama. Forget your sweet tea and pecan pie, folks. We're going deep into the belly of the beast. Today we count down the top 10 most dangerous locations in the heart of Dixie, but be warned, what you discover here you can't unsee. Sloss furnaces, where iron melts, and so do souls. Our first stop takes us to Birmingham, a city built on steel and haunted by its industrial past. Looming over the city like a rusty iron skeleton stands Sloss furnaces. Over 100 men met gruesome ends within these walls, crushed, burned, or worse. They say those poor souls are still chained to the furnaces, working their shift for all eternity. If you listen close enough on a quiet night, you might just hear the clang of their tools or the sizzle of flesh hitting hot metal. So, if you ever find yourself wandering through Birmingham with a hankering for a ghost story, swing by Sloss furnaces. Gaineswood Mansion, secrets in the silence. Next, we head south to Demopolis, where a stately mansion holds court over a dark past. Gaineswood, a grand old place with columns that seem to sigh under the weight of their secrets. Folks say the original owner, Nathan Bryan Whitfield, still walks the halls, his footsteps echoing in the dead of night. He's particularly fond of the library, where he can be found browsing his collection of books. Servants from a bygone era are said to flit through the shadows, their spectral whispers and mournful songs sending chills down your spine. Gaineswood Mansion, a place where the veil between the living and the dead seems thin as a cobweb. Are you brave enough to spend a night within its walls and listen to the stories the silence has to tell? Dead Children's Playground, where innocence dies but fear lives on. We're heading to Huntsville, Alabama, to a place with a name that'll make the hair on your neck stand on end. Dead Children's Playground. This playground, nestled in the heart of Maple Hill Cemetery, has a reputation that's darker than a moonless night. They say that the spirits of children who met untimely ends come out to play once the sun sets, their laughter echoing through the empty swings and slides. Folks tell stories of seeing swings moving on their own, the rusty chains creaking back and forth as if pushed by an unseen hand. Some have even claimed to hear the pitter-patter of tiny feet running through the playground, only to turn and find nothing but empty air. But if you're the kind of person who laughs in the face of fear, then Dead Children's Playground might just be your cup of tea. Chapter 4. The Boyington Oak, Rooted in Blood. Our next stop takes us to Mobile, Alabama, a city shrouded in Spanish moss. The Boyington Oak has a sinister past that sends shivers down your spine. In 1834, Charles Boyington was gunned down and buried beneath this oak tree. Locals whisper of strange occurrences, unexplained lights and disembodied voices. Some say you can still hear Boyington's dying breath carried on the wind. Chapter 5. Bass Cemetery, where the dead don't rest easy. We're heading north to Cullman County, where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. Bass Cemetery has a reputation colder than a grave. Strange lights dance among the tombstones, glowing orbs of energy. Visitors report feeling an icy touch even in summer. Some hear disembodied voices whispering their names. Teenagers who dared to stay were chased by unseen forces. They saw a shadowy figure with glowing eyes in the fog. Chapter 6. Old Cahawba, the siren song of a ghost town. Hold on tight, folks, because our next stop is going to take you to a place lost to time, a ghost town where the past refuses to die. Old Cahawba, once a bustling river port, now a skeleton of its former glory, standing silent and watching from the banks of the Alabama River. This town hums with a different kind of energy, a sorrow that seeps up from the ground and wraps around you like a shroud. Folks whisper about the woman in white, a spectral figure that wanders the old streets, her mournful cries echoing through the empty buildings. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures peering from the windows of abandoned buildings, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Some say that the spirits of old Cahawba are trapped, unable to move on until the town itself finds peace. But until then, they wander the ruins, their sorrow a palpable weight in the air. We're heading to the Gulf Coast now, folks, to a place where the past and present collide like the waves crashing against the shore. Fort Morgan, standing guard at the mouth of Mobile Bay, has witnessed centuries of history unfold. From the War of 1812 to the Civil War, Fort Morgan's cannons roared, and soldiers on both sides fought and died within its walls. Folks tell stories of Confederate soldiers still patrolling the ramparts, their ghostly footsteps echoing across the courtyard. Some have even claimed to hear the distant boom of cannon fire, a sound that hasn't reverberated through these walls for over a century. One of the most well-known ghosts is that of a young Union soldier who was brutally murdered by his own men. Visitors have reported feeling an icy touch on their shoulders, as if a cold hand is trying to get their attention. Hold your breath now, folks. We're heading to Prattville, Alabama, to a place that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about life, death, and the afterlife. The Cross Garden. Picture this: a field stretching out as far as the eye can see, covered in thousands upon thousands of crosses. This is the legacy of W.C. Rice, a self-proclaimed prophet who believed the world was coming to an end. Some say they ascended to heaven in a blaze of glory. Others whisper about a mass suicide. Chapter 9. Highway 431. The road that never ends. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. Our next stop is Highway 431, a road through Alabama shrouded in mystery. Drivers vanish, cars abandoned, engines running. Some blame a phantom hitchhiker. Strange lights, shadowy figures. Keep your eyes on the road and your hand on the wheel. Chapter 10. The Devil's Backbone, where darkness dwells. Get your headlamps ready, folks, because our next stop is going to take you deep underground, into the heart of darkness itself. We're heading to Russell Cave National Monument, to a place where the air is thick with mystery and the ground beneath your feet whispers secrets of a time long forgotten. The Devil's Backbone, a labyrinth of caves and tunnels that wind their way through the earth, like the veins of some ancient beast. Legend has it that these caves were once used by Native Americans for sacred rituals, and some say their spirits still linger among the shadows. Visitors to the Devil's Backbone have reported hearing strange whispers echoing through the tunnels, voices that seem to come from the very walls themselves. Others have claimed to feel an unseen presence brush past them in the darkness, a cold, ethereal touch that sends shivers down their spines. Chapter 11. The Hole, a City's Hunger. Hold your breath now, folks. Our final stop is a place where the earth itself seems to breathe. We're heading back to Mobile, Alabama, to a scar on the landscape. They call it the Hole, and trust me, that name doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. Imagine this, an entire neighborhood swallowed whole by the earth in a single night. Outro. So, you think you're brave enough? Would you dare to visit these places? Comment below. We've journeyed from the fiery depths of Sloss furnaces to the eerie silence of Bath Cemetery, from the ghostly streets of Old Cahawba to the shadowy depths of the Hole. We've confronted the ghosts of Alabama's past, the restless spirits that linger in the shadows, forever bound to the places where their stories unfolded. Stay tuned until the end, because the final entry will leave you speechless.